is to go ahead and do that paper. And Sammy, I'm very sorry, this is not get put in your folder, so you get it, and you get to do it whenever you do get your folder. Alright, and you can use the page in your book. It is page 71. 71 in your book to help you do this page. So I'll make sure it's in your folder for next time. Alright, so everybody, look at the worksheet that you have on your before you, and everybody look at number 1. Alright, number 1. And look at the sentences below there. Okay. Adam, do you hear me saying that we're going to do our worksheet first? Okay, so get your worksheet. Alright, what is happening in number 1? Ben?
The sun heats the earth's water.
Yes, so you need to find the sentence. It says the sun heats the earth's water, and put a number 1 by it, because the picture, the number 1 in the picture is the sun heating the earth's water. Alright, now we're going to look at number 2. When you look at number 2, you see an arrow going up from the water. So what is happening at number 2, Zeke?
Water evaporates.
The water evaporates. Very good. So put a number 2 by the water evaporates. Alright. So looking at number 3, you see it in the middle of the air, and it's showing it going up. So what happened there, Grace?
Warm water vapor rises.
Say it again.
Warm water vapor rises.
Alright, warm water vapor. Water vapor. Very good. Warm water vapor rises. We said warm air rises, right? So warm water vapor rises. So put number 3 by where it says warm water vapor rises. Did you put it in the right place? Yes, you did. Okay. And now we have number 4. Number 4 is showing a cloud. Okay, so what happened there, Olivia?
The water vapor cools, forming a cloud.
Very good. The water vapor cools, forming a cloud. Number 4 is by a cloud. So that was a cloud forming. When that water vapor rose and then it cooled, it formed a cloud. Alright, number 5. Number 5, Owen.
The cloud pulls caution. Precipitation to fall.
Yeah, you should know that word because we had it yesterday. Were you paying attention when we read it yesterday? Precipitation. The cloud cools, causing precipitation to fall. Remember we learned precipitation could be rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Alright, it is some form of water falling from the clouds. Alright, and then we have number 6. So what is number 6, Abby?
Water is used on the earth and returns to the ocean.
Yeah, so this precipitation that falls, it ends up flowing into the rivers and streams and eventually back to the ocean, where it starts all over again, evaporating because of the sun warming. So that's why it's called a water cycle. It keeps repeating itself over and over again. So that's number 6. Water is used on the earth and returns to the ocean. So go ahead and put that at number 6. Alright, now let's begin reading in our books, starting on page 74. And let's start with the terms to remember. Everybody there? Page 74. Yes?
It doesn't have to go to the ocean to make it all go.
No, it can evaporate from other places too. But some of it does end up to the ocean, so that's just where they're taking it.
Well, most
It
of
evaporates from even mud puddles. But let's just do the terms to remember now. Snow.
Ice crystals of frozen water vapor.
Alright, so snow is frozen water vapor. Okay? And sleet, beads of frozen rain that fall from the sky. Alright, so let's say there was rain that was falling, and before it ever even hit the earth, it froze while it was still in the air. So it froze like a little tiny bead. Next, usually happens, a lot of times in the summer. There are 2 seasons when it usually happens, and we will be reading about that, but it's during a thunderstorm, so it's not even when it's cold usually. And up in high in the sky where it was very cold, the rain started freezing and forming balls and getting bigger and bigger, and sometimes it can be quite big hailstones. Sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're only about yay, like a pea-sized hail, but it is bigger than sleet because it wasn't just a raindrop that froze. We'll talk about it later, okay? Alright, starting with kinds of precipitation, we're going to start with the most common, which is rain. Have you always thought that raindrops were shaped like teardrops? So in other words, when you were drawing a picture and you were saying that it was raining, did you make your raindrops look like that?
No.
So that's what I used to do. Well, raindrops are not shaped like that. Most people do, but raindrops are actually perfectly round. So this is what raindrops are like. Perfectly round little drops of water. Before a raindrop can fall from a cloud, it must grow. It begins as a tiny droplet. Because there are so many rain droplets in a cloud, they constantly bump into each other. As this happens, the droplets become larger and larger until the raindrop is large enough to fall. I'm reading and you're not following along with me. Please put your feet down and get your attention to your book. Not only do we depend on rain to water plants and replenish bodies of water, it also cleans the air. Have you ever noticed how clean the air smells after the rain? A long, hard rain can wash thousands of pounds of dust, dirt, and pollen from the air. Top of the next page. Snow. When rain freezes, does that make snow? No. Not if you're listening. We've already said that snow is frozen water vapor. Water vapor is water in a gaseous form. Okay? And we already said that when rain falls through the air and it freezes while it's in the middle of the air, it becomes what? Sleet. Make sure you're listening, okay? Sleet. When rain freezes, does that make snow? No. Snow is made in an entirely different way. Snowflakes are made of air and only a little bit of water vapor. How can this become something so beautiful? There are tiny bits of dust floating through the air. Tiny molecules of water vapor cling to each piece of dust. This is the very beginning of a snowflake. Snowflakes form when the molecules of water vapor begin to freeze or crystallize. Each snowflake is made up of thousands of tiny ice crystals. Every snowflake has 6 sides, but no 2 snowflakes are alike. Alright, so if you've ever had a snowflake land on your mitten or your glove, then you probably saw the 6 different sides to it, how it formed 6 different sides. And it looked like a crystal, didn't it? Alright, sleet. If rain falls through freezing air, it can become sleet. Alright? By the time it reaches the earth, it is completely frozen bead of ice. Sleet can bounce when it hits the ground. Alright? So it was raining and it fell through freezing air and it froze. A little tiny raindrop like that froze, and that's the way it hits the ground. Alright? Hail. Sleet usually falls in cold weather. Hail, however, falls most often in the spring and summer. Hail is ice that falls during some thunderstorms. There must be thunderclouds in order for hail to form. The pieces of ice are shaped like stones, so we often call them hailstones. Hail begins as frozen raindrops. As these frozen raindrops are bounced up and down by the air, they pick up water. This water freezes and causes the frozen raindrop to get bigger. Layer upon layer of frozen water gathers until the hailstone falls to the earth. And you can see in that picture, you can see how they are a variety of sizes. Alright, and the bigger they are, the more damage they're going to do. Turn the page. Hailstones vary in size. Some are as small as peas, while others have been as large as a man's fist. Hail can cause serious damage. Hailstones hailstones can be large enough to break windows and dent cars. They can also damage crops or hurt people and animals. Alright, so look at the picture, think of the precipitation. What do you see in the first picture?
Rain.
What's in the second picture? What's the next?
Sleet.
And last?
Hail.
True or false? A raindrop is first called a droplet. True. Snow is frozen rain.
False.
What is frozen rain?
Sleet.
Sleet. A snowflake forms around a tiny piece of dust.
True.
True. I just read that. Shall I go back and read it again?
Yeah.
It says about snow, there are tiny bits of dust floating through the air. Tiny molecules of water vapor cling to each piece of dust. This is the very beginning of a snowflake. Did you hear it that time? Alright, so when I say a snowflake forms around a tiny piece of dust, the answer is